I want you to take a look at these two pictures and tell me if you can spot a difference, or tell me which one is the 16 Pro Max and which is the 15 Pro Max. I'll give you 4 seconds. Well, if you guessed this video to be the 15 Pro Max, you were right. This is the 15 Pro Max and this is the 16 Pro Max. Any other thing you guessed was wrong. And this is just giving you an insight to the kind of tests we'll be running today. I have taken over 400 pictures and video combined so that you don't have to go through that stress in determining if the iPhone 16 Pro Max camera and its features are better than that of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's dive right into it and start breaking some of these pictures down. Okay, so right here, what we are going to do is that I'm going to start showing both of the pictures and we will analyze them together. Just some disclaimer here right now. I am not a licensed photographer or like a spec expert or whatever it is, so do not come for me in the comments. This point of view is from the average eye that has been trained a little bit. So I have taken a lot of these photos and I've been reviewing phones for a while, so I kind of know when some things look off, if I can notice a little bit different. Now I won't speak about this in all the technical jargons format to bore you away, but we're just going to go into what we can see and analyze them from that look. Now, just starting off with some of the things that are different. One of the major differences would be in the sensors. The 16 Pro Max sensor has that 50 megapixel one, while the 15 Pro Max one has the 48 megapixel. One of the biggest other change is in the 4K 120 FPS, which the 16 Pro Max has, and the 15 Pro Max does not have that. So that being said, let's first look and compare in the aspect of color accuracy and like dynamic range. Now, this photo was taken at a birthday I went to, at an African birthday I went to, and why I want to use this photo, why I've picked this photo specifically, is just because of the different kind of color texture we have, you know, in the video. This one is the one from the 15 Pro Max, and right here on your right is the 16 Pro Max one. And just taking a look just from the naked eye, you won't see any form of changes, but if you look a little bit deeper, I think that the 15 Pro Max kind of handles, or maybe the changes to the skin texture still works really well. I don't think it's overly saturating the light skin and faulting the dark skin. But if you then again come over to the 16, it's almost the same. There's really no real difference that I can see, and this is why I keep saying, what is the difference between the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max? You can't really see any form of difference. But just speaking about that whole color accuracy and dynamic range, I think the Pixel still does better in color accuracy, just because this still looks a little bit saturated, so you know that natural saturation, saturation has been added a lot by the camera. No editing has been done in this photo. But what I like is that the skin colors of everyone, light skin and dark skin and medium skin person, is being represented properly. And if we move further to taking a look at the portrait and depth of field, this is for the 15, and I'll pull up the one for the 16. So this is the 15 and this is 16. We're looking at the portrait and depth of field and also kind of analyzing low light situations here. Here, I will admit the lighting was not the best, but we were still able to capture some interesting details. You can see here over at the 15, we are still having that nice color range with the different food. Over here, you can see that well. But even on the 16, it still handles it a little bit better. Now, you notice a subtle difference in the portrait here, that blur in the 15 and that of the 16. The 16 has a little bit more blur, just from what I'm saying. Like, it looks a little bit like it's handling that blur a little bit better. But just looking at them from afar, you're not missing anything. But let's focus on what's important. What's important is that both cameras are handling that depth of field very well. You can barely even, if you look over, if I just zoom in a little bit, you can barely see what is behind the lady over here. And you can see her face is well blurred out for the 15. And if I do the same for the 16, it is also like properly blurred out. I guess no one will even know what this is. So that's, I would say that this is also like there's no difference between the depth of field between the 15 and the 16. But where I think there might be some differences might be when it comes to the selfie. Now it's beginning to get a little bit interesting when it comes to analyzing the selfie. One thing you'll notice is nothing. I'm not noticing any difference. I don't know, like, you guys, you need to really help me out, like, in the comments if you're noticing any difference. I'm just seeing the same type of picture. Okay, let's take a look at the clouds over here. I think the clouds here look a little bit more realistic. It's toned down a little as opposed to the 15 still like adding that excessive saturation. So that might be one aspect you want to look at. But if you look at the skin tone, I would say the day I took this picture was really kind of gloomy, but still it didn't handle my skin tone properly for some weird reason. Also over here, it's not handling that skin tone properly. But then looking at the colors behind, I love how it keeps that kind of original contrast. If you look at the grasses too, they're not like overly, saturated and all. But then again, no difference. And let's move on to the ultra wide shots for the 15 and for the 16. Well, I can see the defects. Part of the defects are, this halation going on over here. This has been a common issue for the iPhone for a while. They've tried to fix it, but you can see obviously it's not been fixed in the 16 Pro Max, so it's still the same thing. It's still there on the 16 Pro Max. It's not fixed. But that is for the lights in the ceiling. But if you're looking at the numbers themselves, I would say like the 16 handled the light a little bit better. It's not just overly blown as opposed to that of the 15 Pro Max. So just really slight differences. But also when it comes to light, this was shot in low light scenario, and it was able to just take advantage of the little light it had to just kind of pull that light into the picture, making it look, manageable. I would say, considering the lighting conditions. If you look at the cake over here, let me just zoom in a little bit. If you look at the cake over here, yeah, that was the color of the cake. That was the color of the cake on that day. I remember eating it, so yeah, that was the color of the cake. So yeah, I like that. The fact that there's still no difference. But the only problem I have with this is, when will Apple fix this issue when taking pictures with the iPhone? I can't be taking pictures with a almost $2,000 or so phone or 1.5-ish, and I'm just having this light overly blown out. It would be a nice fix to have if Apple can do that. Which leaves us now with the cancel that. Which leaves us now with the video recording side of things. I'm just going to put well, for stabilization, the footage is very stable, both of them. Still no difference. I'm not even going to waste your time again at this point. I'm not going to waste your time again. Where I think will vindicate me at this point now would be in the zoom test. I think the zoom test might be a little bit different. And I'm going to start with the 15. This is the 15. 16 here. Okay, now I'm taking a look at these items. You can see the grass are not overly saturated. I love the fire hydrants. It still looks like a fire hydrant, like it should. But now let's zoom in a little bit more to, I think this was the 2x. Looking at the 2x, now we are still able to capture a lot of details. It doesn't look too distorted. Wait a minute, is this okay? No, yeah, the color accuracy is the same on both of them. I can't spot any difference. And let's try and look at 5x. 5x is where most people might begin to see some difference, but let's look at them closely. 5x. You know what? I just think if you have the 15 Pro Max, you might really not be missing that much. You might really not be missing that much. And but this just goes to show you that, like, probably Apple is making some incremental changes, but we are not just seeing them here. And if anyone wants to really see like in-depth software technical breakdown, you can look at like the picture expert pages like Peter Pix and some of the picture expert pages. But if you're looking for like a realistic explanation how a normal person will see how this would look from the normal eye and an even balanced screen, I didn't see any difference at all. I'm sorry, but there's just no difference to me. So now we've seen all of this, what is the recommendation? I would say, like, if you're coming from an iPhone 15 Pro Max, there's really not much for you to upgrade. There's really no need for you to upgrade. You will still be able to use some of the new AI features coming out, not as well and as optimized as the 16 Pro Max, but you'll still be able to take advantage of it. Now, if you're coming from like an older generation and you're so engrossed with some of the AIs that will be coming in the future sometime around next year, and you're coming from, I would typically say, like the 14, 13 kind of lifestyle, and you really want to upgrade, this isn't that much of a bad deal for you to get, considering the price and the value for it going forward. But if you're using like a 15 Pro Max, after seeing all of this, what do you think? Do you think this is still what you're upgrading? Me personally, I don't think it is. I've been using both of them. Sometimes I just forget which is which and just pick any one for my day. And they do the same work perfectly well. The action button or the camera button, I rarely use it, so I doubt you will use it also. But I'd like to see someone that has used it and think this is a better option. And that's it for this video, guys. And if you loved it, don't forget to leave a like and leave a heart comment on the real ones. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.